Welcome back to Starfield Wiki, home for everything Starfield. Today we're looking at the melee weapon upgrades aspect from the recent June 2024 update. Not only did this add tiers to the melee weapons, but it also allows you to upgrade them using workbenches. We shall also look at how to get the highest possible damage from the melee weapons with the help of the right perks, powers and/or chems for the ultimate melee build at the end of this video. Upon first glance, you may be confused between the tiers and the modification prefixes. Tiers such as sharpened or quantum edged determines the base damage and the quality of the weapons. This is equivalent to the quality tier system of the ranged weapons such as calibrated, refined and advanced. Any other prefixes that you see, of which there are many, such as warriors, experimental, reforged, extruded, etc., are the mod prefixes determined by the modifications of the melee weapon. This is equivalent to prefixes in ranged weapons such as suppressed, assassins, professionals, boosted, etc. The data and IDs of the tiers and new items of this update are still being extracted by the community, but so far Quantum Edged seems to be the best quality for melee weapons. Do consider keeping them should you encounter them in your journey. I myself use a legendary Quantum Edged Wakizashi with 3 effects, which I will mention later. The highest based damage should still be the Varun Pain Blade, which I'm still in the process of farming for the highest quality with the best effects. Moving on to the weapon modifications at a workbench. You do need to first complete the research process at the lab for blade and handle mods up to level 2, which will now allow you to modify your melee weapons at a weapon workbench. The exact maths and calculations for the damage multipliers and effects have yet to be calculated, as many of these data are not readily available. But the alloyed steel blade component increases sneak attack damage, which is vital for stealth kills. The high carbon steel blade simply increases the base damage, which may not sound powerful, but it will stack very well with all the other perk buffs, which I will mention near the end. The irradiated blade adds corrosion damage. The stainless steel blade works great on armored enemies, and the venomous blade adds poison damage. I personally use either the alloyed steel blade for the sneak buff or the high carbon steel for increasing base damage from maximum damage multiplier with perks. In terms of handle, you have the alloy handle, which raises attack speed but lowers damage. It is as though you have a lighter melee weapon equipped. It's great for spamming elemental damage or with weapon effects that have a certain chance of being applied, or effects such as Furious, which increases damage every consecutive hit. Ergonomic handle is great for a crit build. Experimental alloy handle works great against armored enemies, and my favorite, Force Extruded handle, simply boosts base damage, which will multiply amazingly with all the other player perks. The lightweight handle raises attack speed and lowers damage similar to the aforementioned alloy handle, but this reduces the mass of the weapon even further. The weighted handle does the opposite, where it raises damage but lowers attack speed. So now let's focus on the best melee weapon traits for your journey. I play on Extreme, the hardest difficulty, and have tested the damage done by quite a few of the melee weapons with particular traits and effects. A must-have effect for your melee weapon is the Instigating effect, which will perform double damage to enemies at full health. To deal the most damage, we will rely on stealth mechanics. Given that you'll be vulnerable being so close to enemies at melee range, you want to dispatch them as quickly as possible, ideally with one shot, and remain undetected. Some of the best effects, apart from the Instigating for melee weapons, are Shattering, which breaks through enemies' armor just like the ranged armor piercing effect. The Furious effect, where you deal more damage each consecutive hit. The Lacerate effect, which applies bleed effect to the target. And if you're feeling lucky with your stealth build, you could remove your armor or deliberately keep your health low to use melee weapons with the effects such as Berserker, which deals more damage the less armor one has, or the Cornered effect, where you will deal more damage the lower your health. In terms of the best perks for melee for the ultimate melee build, you should get the Concealment rank 4 perk, which will multiply your melee stealth damage by 10 times, also giving you the Chameleon Invisible effect at rank 3. Combine it with Stealth rank 4 to be as undetectable as possible. Do get the Martial Arts perk at rank 4 to take less damage or reflect damage back to enemies should you get caught in your stealth endeavors. Do get Dueling rank 4 for the best melee buffs, and also the Crippling skill at rank 4 to down them faster and deal more damage. For the powers, I would use Void Form to become invisible and remain in stealth better, or even Grav Dash to propel yourself forward, further increasing the distance and effects at each New Game Plus. For the aid, Chems, you could use cocktails such as Frostwolf for increased damage and faster and quieter movement. You could also use Red Trench for increased melee damage and resistance. Or even better, the Red Amp, which gives you increased melee damage by 50%, increased movement speed by 50%, 2x jump height, and also 400 damage resistance for 2 whole minutes, which may be sufficient time for stealth blitzing through certain enemy strongholds depending on your build and difficulty settings. You could also equip the operative suit for becoming 25% harder to detect, rewarded near the end of Ryujin Industries' faction questline. So the best recommendation is a legendary quantum-edged Wakizashi or Varun Painblade with traits such as Instigating, Furious, Lacerate, Berserker, Cornered, combined with mods such as High Carbon Steel Blade and Force Extruded Handle for the best base damage boost for the multipliers, with suits or outfits that benefits close range or stealth mechanics like the Operator suit, with perks such as Concealment, Stealth, Martial Arts, Dueling, Crippling, along with power such as Void Form or Grav Dash of New Game Plus 5 or higher, and finally Chems such as Red Amp for the ultimate stealth melee master build. That concludes this video. Hope it was useful. Like and subscribe to Starfield Wiki, home for everything Starfield.